Are we getting too excited about the USA win over Toulouse? Maybe. So here's reasons not to get excited. First of all, Toulouse was missing like 9 of their best players. It's a preseason game for Toulouse, not a must-win, right? It's not a rankings test match like you're playing, okay? USA scored 3 tries, 2 of them off overthrown lineouts and 1 off an interception. So that's the negative thing. And I've got some positive things as well. So let's answer a couple of these. First of all, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter. Talk to David I knew about that, really, about what it means, what they're trying to accomplish.
I think the one thing that makes that team so successful is that we all understand that there's a standard.
Yeah.
You're not playing on a team with 5 European championships and 22 French titles under your name for nothing. You're there for a purpose, and the only thing you can do is fulfill that purpose and fill the shoes. So I think that's what makes them special, is that the history really sticks with the boys, and it continues as the years goes on.
Yeah. And to add to that, they're missing some national team players, but this is the way these professional teams operate. And when they go to the European Championship, the Heineken Cup, whatever, as opposed to league play, sometimes they have a completely different lineup for these. It sort of depends. So everybody should be able to play, and people are expected to. And you'll see sometimes it's like, whoa, what's going on? They're playing a European Championship match. This is kind of a must-win pool game, and yet they've rested all these players. Why? Because the players need rest, first of all, and the team needs to have players who are able to come in and perform at a high level who just don't happen to be capped. So it wasn't a bad Toulouse team. It wasn't a weak Toulouse team by any stretch. Okay, so the lineouts. We had a little bit of fun talking about the lineouts with Bryce Campbell.
Were you working on the overthrown lineout that becomes a try?
It's a good
thing?
question.
Yeah.
I played with Butch a long time, so every once in a while they go a bit long, so we had a little bit of connection.
Well, I actually remember from the Scotland game when you ended that game having to play flanker, and you almost nabbed a loose ball on the line out. Almost.
What could have been?
And then I was thinking that because you grabbed the ball early in the game and just sort of rescued it, but nothing came of it. But then you end up grabbing another one going in.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I know you can tell with the crowd.
Yeah.
Being back home is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the prettiest game in the world, but hey, we played our hearts out.
So okay. Overthrown, whatever. First of all, it's just good rugby play. That's what happened there. A really good heads-up rugby by both players who scored. And I think more from that is that these were opportunities. These were scoring opportunities, were attacking opportunities. And even though it didn't go perfectly, they were able to make it happen and make a score. And this is something that's been a little bit frustrating for us in terms of watching the Eagles. They've got this great, line out 5 meters out. They don't score. The other thing I'd say about it is that, I don't know about you, I'm kind of over the line out and maul as like this automatic choice. I do love a maul. Do love a good maul. Don't get me wrong. But if that's what you're going to do every single time, and everybody knows, this is something that I'll say so many times about rugby, about international rugby, about professional rugby. There's this orthodoxy that just sort of creeps into everything. It's like the great teams shake up the orthodoxy. I remember long time ago, early 80s, Australia toured the UK and shook everybody up with just sort of a different way of playing. And one of the things they did was they would line up a shot at goal. Like a shot at goal, say, on the far right side. And I think you can actually see a replay of some of these things. Shot at goal, far right side. And they get their winger on the far left side. And they kicked it across and had the winger chase it and go catch it and score. Now that's technically not allowed now because you have to say you're kicking for goal rather than line up a kick at goal and do something else, which personally I think you should be allowed to do. I don't see what the big deal is. But it was unorthodox, and that's the thing. Why can't you do that like with a kick to touch? Why can't you line up your kick to touch? Oh, here we are, right sideline, and then kick the other direction, have someone chase. Risky? Sure. High reward? Very possibly. Something different from the thing that everybody knows is happening? Fine. So look, in a more realistic way to talk about this, a more sophisticated line-out move. Something where you can get whatever forward is standing in the halfback position through. We get very excited about these sort of sophisticated line-out pass plays that produce somebody, or just, the classic peel or something like that. You can do a multiple peel, it's basically like a sweep play from football. Just so many options other than catch it and maul it. And then your maul works if you shake it up a little bit. So here we found out randomly that shaking it up can be a good thing. As for the interception, if you read stuff that I write about rugby, you'll find out that I do not discount interception tries at all. Sometimes they're lucky. For the most part, it's a combination of a little bit of good fortune, like anything else, like a missed tackle, but it's just smart rugby play. And so Nate Augsburger talks about this.
We knew that they had potential to play from their own zone. On that particular play, I was on the right wing and I was back. And the second that I saw them starting to have an overload and kind of starting to set up, I immediately started trying to get to the front line. And by the time the ball was in the air, I got into the right position. And, we were able to get a try and get 7 off.
So great play from Nate Augsburger. I mean, look, he understood that that's what he was thinking about. You do it on purpose, ideally. Okay. But here's the big positive that I see from this. It was really fun to watch. It was a team that played rugby, that took a turnover and made 2 passes or 3 passes to get somebody on the edge to run and attack. They attacked the line. We saw some improvement with some players, some key players who are very good at attacking the line, but in the last few games, we're turning the ball over. We just can't have that. And I would think that, in fact, I know that there was sort of a good talking to a couple of those players. Like, look, dude, everything you're doing is great until you hit the ground and then suddenly the ball's gone. You have to hold on to that, keep it, and set it back so we can recycle again. Quick ball was very good for the USA. I was happy with the defense in many ways because they hit hard, they were line speed, they were together, they forced a lot of knock-ons, and I think the physicality of tackles got the Toulouse players thinking about that a little bit, and they dropped the ball. Where they got burned was the wiper kick and the high ball to the wing, and so that has to be something that the Eagles keep an eye on with their deep 3 especially, but just the way that they organize. So if you combine that with the tries they gave up against Portugal over the summer, you'll see that attacking kicks can hurt the Eagles. So that's something to work on. But overall, what we saw was a dynamic team playing a dynamic game. And guess what? The crowd loved it. But here's what a couple of the Eagles had to say about that.
Here's the thing. One of our primary focus tonight was to inspire.
Yeah.
Inspire the American people, the American population. We had hundreds or thousands of kids here watching us, and our job tonight was to make them be like, wow, I want to be an Eagle, I want to be on that field, and I want to represent my country at the highest level possible. So in some way, it's entertaining. You can call it that. At the other end of the spectrum, we're playing for our country, and that's some of the most it's one of the most special things you can do.
It's a new look team that wants to play in a new and exciting way, I think is really important for our confidence and for the country's confidence. It's super fun. When the crowd gets excited about a little bit of razzle dazzle, that's pretty exciting.
So what does that mean overall going forward? Well, we don't know. We look at. I'm told by good authority that being USA Rugby CEO Ross Young, Scott Lawrence is the coach through the November tests. After that, we don't know. That might be a question. But I think that culturally and in terms of philosophy, we have to keep this idea going. We may as well play fun, right? We may as well play aggressively, play a lot of rugby. The last few years, it seems like we've been playing more like one and go until we get a penalty, kick to the corner and try to maul it over. While Joe Taufete'e has had a terrific career for the USA, one of the reasons he scored so many tries is because the last several years we've been mauling so much, and he's the key guy to bounce off the back of that maul and score. So that's not necessarily the only thing we can do, right? Eagles can do a number of other things. So if we can carry that, and then culturally, I think that Christian Dyer and Nate Augsburger both said very important things in terms of what they think about their fans and what they think about those people who support the Eagles and what it means to be an Eagle to them.
Yeah, I mean, outside of our squad trying to do our best to perform and win rugby games, it is to make sure that people watch us and go, I want to be a part of USA Rugby and I want to play. And that's the mission, that's the vision that Scott's laid out for us, super clear. If you're not bought into that vision, then you aren't going to last long here.
Right.
And so for us, we've really just bought into that, and the fans were pumped. They were pumped for us, and you could hear them loud. They got louder and louder as the game went on.
Well, it's serious. We are, as a nation, are working on hosting a World Cup in 8 years. So let's have the USA team, the USA men's team, be fun to watch. Let's have the USA men's team use their strengths, their physicality, their athleticism, to not only be fun to watch, but also then translate that into victories. That is all possible. And I think that if you're watching the World Cup right now, you'll notice that the teams that just barely beat the USA out for a World Cup spot, remember, it was 1 point the difference with Chile. It was 1 point the difference, really, with Portugal. These teams are doing quite well. Uruguay as well, who beat out the USA. They're all playing well. So it wasn't as much, a little bit, but it wasn't as much that the Eagles are falling back, that those teams were moving forward. How did they do that? Professional rugby, Super Rugby Americas, or SLARS, or whatever you want to call it. What does the USA need to do on that elite level? Well, the USA Hawks program, the American Raptors program, these are positive steps, but there need to be more Americans playing high-level rugby. That's on the Major League Rugby, which we're not seeing enough of. But USA Rugby, that's their job. Let's get these players playing, get them playing together, get them playing challenging, but fun and exciting rugby, and make sure those age grades, those 23s, the 20s, the 18s, are playing as well, not just 1 year or 2 years. You combine all of that stuff with a philosophy that really, as a player, you owe something to the fans who've come to watch you. I think we might see improvement.